oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. Find rest, my soul, in Christ alone. Know His power in quietness and trust. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, know you are God.
Welcome. Thanks for joining, friends. How is everybody doing tonight? Not seeing very many people on tonight, so it's probably a little bit late. I'm sorry about being on late, but something told me to come on late. So here I am. I'm on late, so we might as well take a listen and just do this broadcast, because I have a feeling there's a reason why. I was told to come on here for some reason or not. So how's everybody doing tonight? Is there anybody out there in this world? Anybody out here? How's everybody doing tonight? What's going on, Jones? Thanks for joining. Alright, let me get my chat screen set up properly so I can see you guys come in and chat when we need to chat. Alrighty. So, I'll get the introductions over with. How's it going, Lost Daily? Thanks for joining. Welcome to the broadcast. Who? What? Saya. Who's that? Not sure what you mean there, but let's go ahead and we'll bring on our friends on live.me. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining. Alright. So, who am I? I am Jason Wallace. I am a believer and follower of Jesus Christ. I'm a prayer warrior, an intercessor, a Bible reader, a devoted husband and father. I am a child of God. I am a new creation in Christ. I am a citizen of heaven. I am a member of Christ's body. I am righteous and holy. I am a very proud member of the Jesus Did It family. And guys, we are a group of Christians who love to share time and spend life with each other, doing broadcasts on these different platforms to share God's love and to show all those in the world what the Word of God looks like, what it sounds like, and the truths that are backing behind it. Not just words that are old and things like that. So definitely, let me get this thing shared out. Make sure I've got all my people shared out too, and we'll get into the broadcast here in a second. There we go, Unchanged. Alrighty, let me bring this other one up on the screen so I don't hear myself. We'll be good. There we go. Alright, thanks for the likes there. Over there on my page, my personal Facebook page. Thanks so much. Alright, guys. So, really quiet tonight, but that's alright. What's this say here? Do you play any video games? Yeah, actually, I do. What's up, Bill Crowell? Thanks so much for joining. What's up, brother? Playing video games. I play Pokemon Go, believe it or not. It's a fun little game that we play, and it's good. It's good. Nothing like those first-person shooter games or nothing, but I'm into that stuff. So, alright, so here we are. This is the Jesus Did It website. If you want to go there, go to jesusdidit.org. Take a look at the website. Right there is the download. The download is all the affirmations, all those I am statements that you should be declaring over yourself, so that way you know who you are and what God, how much He loves you. And how much He cares about you and what He thinks of you. I'm fine, man. I can't complain. I best. Can't complain at all. So, if you guys get a chance, take a look at the website at jesusdidit.org, and you'll see the other great Jesus Did It broadcasters there, as well as some other people that we like to watch. Come on, screen, work with me here. There we go. I gotta pull up both screens so I can see all of the. Looks like our friend Ela is asking for prayer, so we'll pray for our friend Ela. Lord Heavenly Father, you know what's going on in her life. Lord, we just ask that you bring a hedge of protection around her, and just ask for whatever it is that she's asking for prayer for. Lord, we just ask, if it is your will, let it be done and complete. In your mighty and powerful Son's name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen and amen. Alright. So now I got all my screens up. I can actually see stuff. Alright, what's going on? Okey-dokey. A little bit of iced coffee to make the day. What's up, Sherry baby? Thanks so much for joining on the broadcast. Alright guys, so we're gonna get into what we always do. Don't have very many of the normal people on, but it's probably because we are really late. And I'm sorry about that, but let's hey, what happened to me there? Alright. There it is. How about now? Now you should be able to see me. And then we gotta bring up our screen too, which is failing to load up. I don't want a filter, I want the screen up. There we go. What's going on? What's going on? Thanks for joining. Alright, we're gonna pick a song for tonight. Please pray for the engagement between Sev and Gabby. Yes, absolutely. I didn't see anything. Is that official? Official? That's good. We'll pray over them. Lord Heavenly Father, we just ask for blessings upon blessings to come over our friends Sev and Gabby. Lord, we just ask that you guide them and allow them to be able to be joined in union with you, Lord. Lord, let Christ be the center of their relationship, Lord. And if they need guidance, Lord, we just ask that you help all of us to help them get into alignment and to know who you are. And I know they know who you are, Lord. I know that they love you and they care about you and they care about each other. So, Lord, I just ask for just blessings upon their lives, Lord, and allow the marriage to be just a beautiful and wonderful moment that is sharing with you that love, that same love that you love us with. Lord, I just ask for that to be brought upon their relationship. In your mighty and powerful Son's name we pray. Amen and amen. Happened tonight. He proposed. She said yes. Bob, boom. That's the way it should be, man. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. What's up, Jelly? Thanks for joining. Alright, guys. Just for that, we're going to raise a hallelujah, because hallelujah, man. It's good when good stuff happens, right? It's awesome when good stuff happens. So let's raise a hallelujah for this one.
I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
I raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me. Sing a little louder.
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 In the presence of my enemy.
Sing a little louder.
Louder than the unbelief.
Sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
Sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
Sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemy.
Sing a little louder.
Louder than the unbelief.
Sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
Sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
Sing a little louder.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Oh, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
I raise a hallelujah.
In the presence of my enemy,
I raise a hallelujah.
louder than the unbelief.
I raise a hallelujah.
My weapon is a melody.
I raise a hallelujah.
Heaven comes to fight for me. Awesome. Thanks for worshiping with me.
Got it.
Bye.
God bless. I had to put the microphone over there so the people on live.vision can hear. That's really, really good. And let's see. I feel like doing another song just because it's a it's a fastidious moment, right? When people that you know profess their love to each other, and they want to show that love to the whole world by getting married. You know, really a good thing. What's up, Benny? Thanks for joining. Oh, let's see. Let's try this one. It's not a worship song. It's a song though. There we go. We're gonna sing.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one else above you? You fill my heart with gladness, take away all my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what you do.
For the morning sun and all its glory meets the day with hope and comfort too. You fill my heart with laughter, somehow you make it better. Ease my troubles, that's what you do.
There's a love that's divine, and it's yours and it's mine. should give thanks and prayer to the one, to the one.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one else above you? You fill my heart with gladness, take away all my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what you do.
There's a love that's divine, and it's yours and it's mine, like the sun. And at the end of the day, we should give thanks and prayer to the one, to the one.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one else above you? You fill my heart with gladness, take away all my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what you do.
Take away all my sadness, fill my life with gladness, ease my troubles, that's what you do. Take away my sadness, fill my life with gladness, ease my troubles, that's what you do.
Alright. Stuck the mic again. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. There it is. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks for sharing out, Ms. Janae. Flex, also, thank you so much for sharing out. You guys are awesome. And we're going to bring on our friends over at this new one that we're doing, Kitty Live, and the title today is Unchanged. Unchanging, right? Unchanging? That's what we got. Sure, that's good enough. Hashtag chat. Alright. No guest call, thank you. And I don't think I need to beautify me, but we'll be alright. What's game mode? They must have added on some. Oh, when we want to play one of their games. Got it. Got it. We're gonna go live. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Hey, how's it going, Kitty Live? Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. Alright, guys. Tonight we're broadcasting on a bunch of different platforms. Who's that? Lorenzo in the house. Thanks so much for joining. Guys, tonight we're broadcasting on YouTube, YouNow, Live.me, DLive.io, Periscope, Facebook, Twitch, Smashcast, FC2, Peaks, InstaJib, Vaughn Live, Africa.tv, OK.ru, and Kitty.live, or Kitty Live. So thanks so much for joining. I'm gonna hit it. Hey, I got that song pretty good. Hello, how are you, Melody? Thanks for joining. Thanks for being in the broadcast. And I wish Live.me would actually stop banning me from doing the game style broadcast, because then you can see all the rest of this cool stuff that's going on. Like over here, if I were to pop the screen, you guys would actually be able to see that the broadcast is actually pretty cool looking, with like music stuff behind me and comments and all this stuff. But Live.me, they act a bit of a weird. So, and I've contacted support, and they continually say, oh, we won't block you, but then they ban me. every single time. So we broadcast this way. So hopefully the experience is not as it's not as robust, but hopefully it is satisfactory. So, hello, how are you? I'm Jason Wallace. Alright guys, so for the Bible reading for today, we are going to be reading, let's see, Psalm 93, if I can ever get the page to come up. Psalm 93, there it is. Hopefully the screen page can come up now. Properties. Oh, there it is. Psalm 93, the Lord reigns. And that's some truth there for sure. Let me make the screen bigger so we can actually see what's going on. Alright, so the Lord reigns is the title. And this is Psalm 93. Guys, we're reading from the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, one chapter per broadcast. So I'm trying to broadcast once or twice a week, maybe even more, depends on the week. And so whenever we broadcast, we read a chapter. So it'll probably take a little bit of time. We've been reading it for a while now, since 12/2/2016. So we've been doing this for wow, 2016 already. It's been for a few years now. So we've been broadcasting for quite some time. 16, 17, 18, 19, 3 years we've been reading the Bible, doing this stuff. But this is what we do. We come on here and we spread the word of God to all the nations, because that's what he called us to do, right? That is our mission, that we must complete that mission. So here we go. Psalm 93. The Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty. Make sure my mic's working, because just making sure. There we go. Okay, good. The Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty. The Lord is robed. He has put on strength as his belt. Yes, the world is established. It shall never be moved. Your throne is established from of old. You are from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their roaring. Mightier than the thunders of many waters, mightier than the waves of the sea. The Lord on high is mighty. What's going on? Thanks for joining. Thanks for liking the broadcast. Your decrees are very trustworthy. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, forevermore. There it is. That's Psalm 93. Short one for tonight. That's good. So guys, remember, we use the Blue Letter Bible, and I just generally pick either New King James Version, or sometimes NIV, sometimes the New King James Version, just to kind of change it up a little bit. But generally we stick with New King James or ESV as our translation. But one thing I do want to say is don't get wrapped up in which translation you're reading. They all basically say the same thing. So here's the deal. If you happen to be reading, and when you're reading, say, the NIV, and it clicks with you, right? Or if you're reading New King James Version, sometimes when people go to read the King James Version, it's like really tough to read because it's Old English, and sometimes people just don't understand it. So the best thing to do is to find a translation that you would like to read, right? So stick with those translations. Stay away from that one that was written by the Jehovah Witness. Stay away from that one because it's twisted up words. But any of the mainstream ones, you'll be good. NIV, ESV, NKJV. I think even like the I particularly like the 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 amplified version. So there's amplified version. They don't have one on here on the website, but I wonder if there is one. I wonder if there is one that is does have it. I'll have to check and see. It might be the YouVersion app, right? It might be the one that has it. So yeah. Alright guys, a little bit of change tonight, and there's a reason why. I don't think I have any physical books. No, I don't. I don't have any physical books. I gave them all out. I think there's one maybe in my truck that I have to go get out of my truck, but because it's so late, I didn't want to do that right now. So I figured I'll show you guys this website that I keep saying about. So check it out. You want to go to the odb.org website, right? And then that website has some really good resources there. They have the reading in playing.
Life is always
can listen
changing
to it.
around us, but God remains the same.
So I'm going to read it, but I just wanted you guys to see that it even plays it for you. So the Our Daily Bread is a really good free devotional, and you can see it's all online, and you can definitely get to it. So for today, September 1st, the title is Unchanging, and this is Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. And this is Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8. Alright. My wife Carrie and I recently traveled to Santa Barbara, California, the city where we met and fell in love 35 years ago, to attend our college reunion. We planned to visit several places where we had spent some of the best hours of our youth together. But when we arrived at the location of our favorite Mexican restaurant, we found a building supply store there. A wrought iron plaque hung on the wall commemorating the restaurant and its 4 decades of service to the community. I gazed at the barren but still familiar sidewalk, once dotted cheerfully with colorful tables and bright umbrellas. So much had changed around us, yet in the midst of change, God's faithfulness never changes. David observed poignantly, the life of mortals is like grass. They flourish like a flower of the field. The wind blows over it, and it is gone, and its place remembers it no more. But from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear him, and his righteousness with their children's children. Psalm 103, verses 15 through 17. David concludes the psalm with these words: Praise the Lord, my soul. The ancient philosopher Heraclitus said, "You can never step in the same river twice." Life is always changing around us, but God remains in the same and can always be trusted to keep his promises. His faithfulness and love can be counted on from generation to generation. That was written by James Banks. So let's pray and do some reflection here. So the questions are: how is it comforting to know that God never changes? What's up? How's it going? So how is it comforting to know that God never changes? When have you needed that assurance? There's a prayer for today. It says, Almighty and eternal God, thank you that you never change, and you can always be trusted. Help me to rely on your love and faithfulness today. What's up, Gary? How's it going, buddy? So definitely take a look at this website. Really cool website. Lots of stuff in it. And yeah, just great resource, free devotional, and definitely one for you to read and take a look and even listen to, right?
Welcome
So
to today's encouragement.
So it's there, and you can listen to it. So I definitely encourage you guys. All right, so that is today's devotional. And guys, if you have any prayer requests or praise reports, listen, man, I cannot complain. I really can't. God is good. And how you like that? Something just happened on you now. Hopefully it's still broadcasting. I just said, your session has expired. It's like, how can my session expire? I'm broadcasting. Anyways. Yeah. So guys, if you have any prayer requests or praise reports, please put them in the broadcast. Otherwise, we're just going to pray a general prayer and we're going to head on out because it is a bit late. But when I was, getting cleaned up tonight, getting ready for bed, I just had this, small voice that said, come on and broadcast. And so here I am, broadcasting. What's up, Mama Kumar? Thanks so much for joining. Yeah. How's it going? Graph. High beams. Someone's got their high beams on, just want to say. And Lorenzo, I think you're still here. So yeah, it's a good day. Today was a really good day. We got to church and worship. Back at home was really good. Not traveling. Alright. So here comes the business end of everything. Guys, if you need help getting your church or your business or your own personal live streaming efforts up and running, get them moving, let's get it figured out. You're sitting here trying to figure out how to broadcast, how to do all this stuff. Well, send me an email and let's get some discussion going. Would gladly be able to get you started and get you pointed in the right direction. And if we need to, what's going on, JR? And if you guys need any help with that, you need coaching, you need any of that stuff, what's going on, buddy? And Disney Baby's in the house. How are you doing? Haven't seen you in about a minute. How are you guys doing? Yeah, if you guys need any help with that, send me an email. We'll talk about budgets. We'll talk about what stuff you already have going on, what parts you need, what you do, what you have. Can we use this computer? Can we not use this computer? So let me know and we will definitely help you out with that. How are you doing? So good to see you guys. It's kind of late for me, but I know that wow, you guys, both you and JR got some good pictures there. It's been about a minute, right? It's been a long minute. That's alright. You guys got dueling pictures. It's kind of cool. I like it. I'm glad you guys doing good. I hope your relationship's doing well. I would think so. You both got the same picture, or similar picture. Really close. Similar picture. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. It's good. So yeah, we got that going on, live streaming stuff. Jesus Did It broadcast. It's good to see you. The Jesus Did It monthly broadcast. So guys, we do a monthly broadcast, and I don't know yet. We're still figuring out. I think it's going to be the end of the month for sure. The last Saturday, I think, is what we're thinking about. And it would generally be about 6:30. We're very good. Awesome. So yeah, so that will be on Periscope and Facebook Live, and if all the pieces of the puzzle come together, I can say this: it's going to be a pretty epic broadcast. I just want to say. So make sure you're following the Jesus Did It TV account on Facebook Live and on Periscope. You definitely want to make sure you're following that, because it's going to be, I'm just going to say, if everything comes together the way we want it to, it's going to be a pretty awesome broadcast. Pretty awesome broadcast. Alright. Guys have any prayer requests or praise reports? Otherwise, I think I'm going to start shutting it down, because it is 1:20 in the AM over here. And so we've already prayed for a couple people today. We prayed for Ela. We prayed for who else we prayed for? Oh, we prayed for the engagement there of Sev and Gabby. So we prayed for those guys. Good stuff with them. And yeah, I think that's about it. We're sitting on crazy numbers. 404 people have passed through the broadcast on Periscope. So we are very, very, very blessed to have that many people cross the path. So I think I'm good. I think we're done. The word is out, and we're good. So let's pray on out, and we'll throw a song there. We'll be there. You have a blessed week too, man. I will definitely take that, because it's always a blessed week. It's even more sweet, right, when there's a day off on Monday. So I'll take the day off tomorrow, and be blessed with that for sure. Alright, let's pray. Lord Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time. Lord, I just thank you for all of the brothers and sisters that come on the broadcast and share out and share your love, and just listen to your word and want to get to know you more. Lord, I thank you for all those who may not know who you are. Lord, I just thank you for the opportunity to be able to spread your word, and to just plant a seed in them, that they would want to know who you are even more. Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity to be your mouthpiece, Lord, and be able to spread your word and your love, and show others that what true disciple of Jesus looks like. And Lord, I try my best to be that person, and I thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this. And Lord, I just ask for blessings upon all the brothers and sisters that come into the broadcast, and Lord, I just ask for their lives to be blessed in your mighty and powerful Son's name, we pray. Amen and amen. Alrighty, so let's throw a song there, and let's go broadcasting here in one mind and one accord. That's right, Lorenzo. You got that right, buddy. Blessings, buddy. You have a nice night too, Gary. Alright, guys, let's play a song and let's head on out, because I'm tired. I'm getting tired. Alright, and now I'm going to shut down Kitty Live and live down me on the way out. So, yeah, let's do that. Singing. Let's pick a song. Let's see what we got. Not sure what I want to do. Let's see. Hey JR, did you know I sang 1,000 Years with someone else? I sang a couple other songs too. Some very interesting songs. Creep. Are you on twice a week? Yeah, I'm on like twice a week usually, and it's kind of random. So it just depends on what's going on in life. So I'm trying to get trying to figure out a schedule right now, and I'm thinking that it's gonna probably become more and a better solid schedule once which one? Creep? Creep's a good one. We'll play that one, and then I'll play a worship song also, if that's what you want. What's going on? Hey, Israel Wendy's in the house. Make sure you guys are following her. She's a Jesus Edit broadcaster. And yeah, so guys, I'm going to play this. This is a secular song, so I'm just giving you a warning. I'm going to play a secular song, and then I'm going to play a Christian worship song afterwards. But, yeah, just wanted to play this song. This other guy here is a Christian as well. And we don't say the bad word in the song, so you're good. Alright, so here you go. Guys, I love you all. Get some rest. Be blessed. And we'll see you tomorrow, maybe? Maybe I'll broadcast tomorrow. We'll see. Love you guys. Have a nice night.
When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. You're so very special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. I want you to notice when I'm not around. You're so very special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. She's running out again. She's running out. She run, 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 run. Whatever makes you happy, whatever you want. You're so very special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't belong here. watching from the outside. Sometimes it feels like I'm breathing, but am I alive? I won't keep searching for answers that aren't here to find. All I know is I'm not home yet. This is not where I belong. Take this world and give me Jesus. This is not where I belong.
So many walls come falling down on me, and when I'm lost in the current of a raging sea, I have this blessed assurance holding me.
All I know is I'm not home yet. This is not where I belong. Take this world and give me Jesus. This is not where I belong. When the earth shakes, I wanna be found in you.
When the lights fade, I wanna be found in you.
All I know is I'm not home yet. This is not where I belong. Take this world and give me Jesus. This is not where I belong. All I know is I'm not home yet. This is not where I belong. Take this world and give me Jesus. This is not where I